Hi, Debbie. It's working.
Early Shabbat Shalom. We are back in our kitchen and we have this beautiful display that I hope is very visible to you all. And we're happy to be here. Barry, did you know, this is like so exciting. Did you know this is our 20th Shabbos show?
Whoa. 20 times, 20 weeks.
20 weeks.
Debbie, wow.
Yeah, we've just been in different places, whether we've been able to take ourselves to the Texas coast and be with you from there or come to you from our backyard. We've all had so much time to be at home, hopefully, as we've sheltered in place and been able to reconnect and hopefully with some nice bright lights to reconnect with a few things that are important. And I am really amazed and astounded that we've been able to have such a sense of community when the fact of the matter is, here's you and me, and we're in our house all by ourselves. But I feel like, and I'm like, there's Nigdy, there's Lolly. And it's just so wonderful. Thank you guys for sharing that with us. And thanks, Lolly, and making this a ritual with us.
Debbie, all I can tell you is that it's nice to be inside the house. It's great having guests. And by the way, the guests are terrific. They add so much stuff to our show. But today's show, it looks like we're pretty busy. Holy smokes.
There's a lot of stuff here.
That's a lot of stuff. And I'm sure, is there any meaning to any of this stuff?
Can I say that the third week of August, let's see, it's something around the 25th because I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I think it's that third week in August, that pre-Shabbos, that Shabbos show, we're going to have Rabbi Sunshine with us.
Rabbi Sunshine?
Yeah.
From Sheriff Israel?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Pretty excited about that. Okay, so what are we doing here with all this stuff? Great stuff. Doesn't it look slightly delectable? Can you see it enough?
Debbie, does this stuff do all these different kinds of fruits and wine and vegetable oil and figs?
Olive oil.
Olive oil?
Not vegetable oil.
Is there any meaning to this with this week's Parsha and the Torah this week?
This is one of the most beautiful and nourishing in itself group of words to me in the whole Torah. And I didn't bring my glasses with me, but I think I don't need it. And I have to give a shout out to my dear and bestie friend, Cheryl Schiffman. I sit here and what's marking my book is the pointer she gave me for the first time I was able to read Hebrew right from the Torah. So I just treasure this. I can't not say anything about that. Okay, so here we go. In Deuteronomy, we're in chapter 8, and verse 7 says, "For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from plain and hill, a land of wheat and barley, of vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land where you may eat food without stint, where you will lack nothing, a land whose rocks are iron, and from whose hills you can mine copper. When you have eaten your fill, give thanks to the Lord your God for the good land which God has given you." I take a moment afterwards.
Debbie, would you say you take Torah literal?
People have their own perspectives about the Torah, but I'm a pretty literal Torah person, and some people even kind of giggle at that a little bit, but I can't help myself. So every time there are objects, every time there are concrete objects, I like us to look at them because the fact of the matter is that was the description of Israel and what foods and what things would be waiting there for the time that the Israelites crossed over. It blows me away that we still get to share in these things together. So can I show you a little bit about
tell me what all this is. Like, start with this. What is that?
Pomegranate. And these are holy foods that are mentioned in the Torah. They're holy. And you might even take a moment. Maybe you have some on your Shabbat plate this evening, or you're going to enjoy some of these during Shabbat. So let's talk about them now. All right. Pomegranate. Perhaps it speaks for itself. This is in the very front. This isn't food, but I really wanted you to have a sense of natural copper. The crystal person that I am, copper literally connects the earth. It is our wires. It's our electric. Without copper, everything that we're having right now wouldn't be so. And so we have to.
Is it heavy?
So heavy.
Ugh.
So heavy. You're a great actor.
Honestly, this weighs easily 4 to 5 pounds.
Yeah.
This little bit of copper.
Okay. And then, let's see. Of course, you can see your grapes. You have all your beautiful grapes here that are mentioned.
How are the grapes attached?
Vines. Of course, the vines that are mentioned. We put in some other vines here just to enjoy just the beauty and everything that we were gifted and given on our planet and our universe and in Israel, and things that we still enjoy. And it's abundance. It's just flat out abundance. And we will talk about more later. This abundant tray of all of this goodness is not accessible to everyone today. And we'll, of course, talk about that. It should be, right? Olives, honey, right in the honeycomb.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Oh, yeah.
And then Texas honey. Ooh, it's going to be so beautiful.
Can you see the comb in there?
Yeah.
Look, there's a comb. There's actually a comb in there. Can you see it? It's Texas honey. That means Texas bees.
You love these guys right here. Dates.
They're the best.
The verse talks about wheat. Here's the wheat flour that we all have. And of course, what comes from grapes, we'll be enjoying some of this in not too much longer, right?
We're counting the hours.
Counting the hours. Beautiful wine. Beautiful olive oil to cook with.
Gorgeous.
Now, do you know what this is? I'll hold it close. 7 species. Think 7 species. Hi, Becky. Hi, Rez. Hi, Deirdre. Barley. So this is the barley, wheat and barley.
Figs.
Figs. Not so easy to find today. Go Barry Rothschild.
I'll tell you about the figs later.
So I think I went over just about all of it, all the way to these beautiful vines we pulled off of some plants that we have around, and honey. And this looks, and if you practice mindfulness, which I like to do, and even if you don't, I'm wondering if we showed you the grapes or the pretty black olives or the honey. If you can feel your mouth watering, that's the strength of the mind. It wasn't that any of us have tasted any of this. That is the effect the mind has on the body. So can you imagine, as we begin to harness and have emotional and mental fitness, just like when you strengthen a bicep, right? All of a sudden you're noticing, and you can change what's going on in the body the same way our mouth might be watering as we think about these most gorgeous figs. And my mouth is watering from them, literally. So that's mindfulness. Mm-hmm.
Debbie, this is just incredible.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful display. I'd love to take credit, but I'm not the divine creator, right? But I've been able to assemble all of these things with magnificence and gratitude and appreciation and holiness. And every time I eat these particular 7 species, I always try to think about this verse in Deuteronomy. And if you bring a little bit of gratitude right before you eat this delicious olive, it tastes even better.
Wait. You're saying if I have a little grape, such as this, I should say a little moment of gratitude.
Little bracha.
Tastes sweeter.
Yeah. I know you have some things to tell us and to educate us about today.
Well, I'll tell you. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
This week's Torah portion is Ekev, Debbie. I don't know if you know what Ekev even means. It means, in the Torah, it's translated as to obey. Or in some cases, it says how to listen or to obey these laws. Well, we're taught this, Debbie, because we learned that in this week's Torah portion that Moses once again talks to the Israelites and tells them, if you obey the laws, if you listen to the laws, you'll be able to go into the land that's filled with milk and honey. If you listen to these laws, if you do obey these laws, you'll be able to go into this land and the people there will not harm you. But also, we learn in the Torah portion again that Moses reminds the Israelites, these stiff-necked people, remember what you did wrong. And you can't continue to do these wrong things.
Some complaining, maybe?
A little bit complaining. Complain about manna, about him leaving for 40 days and 40 nights to get only the 10 Commandments in the Torah. But they say maybe he's not going to come back, all this kind of stuff. But the word Ekev, the Torah portion, name, is actually a word that's hard to translate in English. Now, it actually has a root word that means heal. So the great biblical medieval commentator Rashi, the great Rashi, what he said is that the Torah portion isn't necessarily to obey and to listen, but maybe to listen and to follow the littlest commandments, as if those little commandments are rising from the dirt as you walk along the way from your heels. The Rashi tries to tell us that it's not the biggest commandments that we have to remember, it's the small ones. The small ones are how we're measured. It's not how we're not measured by our work at the end of the day. We're not measured by our jobs. We're measured by the tiny things we do that make someone feel better. And the reward is how we treat others, and even others that we may not even know. So I'll tell you the story about the figs. I'm at the grocery store, and I say,
in your mask.
In my mask, and I'm walking around, and I say, hey, buddy, is there a chance that you have figs? And he says, we're out of figs today, sir. I said, well, pardon me, what is your name? He says, Jose. I said, well, Jose, thank you so much. Is this pomegranates over here? He said, yeah. So meanwhile, I go in another aisle, and guess who finds me? Like 4 minutes later. Jose. Jose says, sir, I made a mistake. I went and checked in the back.
Oh, so nice.
And we had one container of figs left. Can you imagine? So maybe what we're taught today is next time you're at the grocery store or you're walking along the way or if you're anywhere, now you may be just standing on your heels at the grocery store waiting for the checker and the bagger to take care of your groceries. And you may be checking your phone, you may be looking at your watch, but maybe why don't you check? Just check and look at their name badges and say, thank you, Midge. Thank you, Norman. You walk away on your heels and they feel more important. It's the smallest things we have to do. Shabbat Shalom.
And recognize.
Yes.
And you're very good at that. Way before we were all talking about this stuff, I have to say, and anybody who knows Barry knows, he makes everyone feel special. That's definitely a gift and a commandment, and you're very good at that. I learned from you.
Thank you, Debbie. I learned a lot from you on this stuff. Speaking of learning, is there a challah in this world?
Yeah, but I want to tell you about one more thing.
Okay.
And this part isn't as much the super exciting, happiest, best part, but it talks about, after we talk about the foods that are so important, it says, and you'll get to eat without stent. And you think about what a heart stent is, enlarging and making things smaller. And I feel really, really lucky, and I know you do too. And I know a lot of our community watching, you feel similarly. You know, I have this challah rising. I have a brisket in the oven. It's been very slowly roasting all day long, but it's not like that for everyone. And the verse that says you will eat without stint really isn't the way that it is, particularly not in Dallas, Texas today and many other places. And so as you take in these beautiful things, and maybe one of you said, last year for Yoga Emmanuel, I made a fig cake. These are the dates. I made a fig cake, and it was, talk about your mouth watering. It was so wonderful. And perhaps you said, oh, look at this beautiful wheat flour, or something like that. And maybe you said, I'm going to make some honey wheat bread this week. So many of us are so lucky that once we have the idea, we can follow up on it that way. But it's not that way for everyone. And so,
what we do for, let's say, for at least for this last 20 weeks, we try to give to some charity of some sort, because we are so fortunate, and we are fortunate.
We're very fortunate.
And so this week we're giving to the Feed the Hungry campaign at Temple Emmanuel. Sometimes we go to the different charities that
North Texas Food Bank is a big one.
Sorry, I can't remember. If I should only obey and listen. But but if we're this week, we're sending it to Temple for their food bank, which is terrific, and we really think it's important because, fortunately, by the grace of God, go I, or go we, go us, and so we're lucky.
And that really is something that is a wonderful. I'm loving this ritual of being together. So my sister Melissa's on right now. And so lucky for the things that we get to eat and consume and notice and all of that. But before we strike that match tonight, one of the things that's requested of us and is a ritual in so many homes and should be everywhere is to do your tzedakah. And where it used to be coins in our tzedakah box, we even realized we don't have time for that right now. We got to go quick. We got to get this stuff, happening and move it along so that people can feel like we do and have a good dinner tonight. So, all right, you want to see the challah now?
Thanks for the statement, and thanks for all.
Hi, Liz. There's Liz. Hold on.
I see her. Challah time. It looks like a biggie. Holy moly!
I know. It's the top part's a little more out of control than the bottom, but it's getting there. And I think we're going to put a few little seeds on it tonight after the egg wash. And I got to give Tina Wasserman a shout out because I'm using her brisket recipe. And she has some wonderful recipes, by the way. If you feel, I was thinking about it because, it's got that apricot jam in it. It's going to be so good later.
Terrific.
Mm-hmm. So.
Well, Debbie, thank you.
Thanks,
I've learned
Randy.
a lot again today. This is a beautiful presentation. And thank you, Deidre, back. And but thank you so much for all the hard work you do for these last 20
weeks.
20 weeks. Looking for another 20 more.
This is really in an effort to be with you. And definitely not to end on a low note. But this didn't start with anything other than wanting to be with our community on Shabbat, because we always were. And trying to figure out another way to be with you. And I have to tell you, as I read what Deirdre says, oh my gosh, I see so many people up here with nice Shabbat greetings and things like that. I feel every ounce as if we're in a room together. I feel so lucky and joyous and contented about that. Hope we all have a peaceful, rejuvenating, hi Jorge, hi Ellen, healthful, wealthy in the WELLTHY way, very feeling well. And I hope we just have a wonderful 24 hours where we can reboot and re-energize.
Debbie, this 20 weeks has not just become a ritual, but it's also, for me, it's the one day of the week that we feel like we're with all of our other friends and family across everywhere. Because the one good thing that COVID, I nearly said COVID. Boy, I nearly mistake the chab with a het. Oh my gosh, what a mistake. But back to reality. We get to join
Never
with other
a
people.
dull moment in my life.
The one good thing about COVID, which there aren't any one good thing about it, is just that the time that we've had together has been terrific. Thank you so much.
It's true. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Debbie.
Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Means so much to see you right here. Deirdre, thank you for those words about Vickery Meadow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Let me see if I can get around with a long enough arm.